Hello and welcome back to our situation report toolkit from We Prepare. We appreciate you joining us as always, and in this video we're going to talk a little bit about how to integrate the single jurisdiction and multi-jurisdiction together, a few best practices on that, as well as just some of the logistical details to make sure the two systems sort of function together. Both were designed sort of to, again, complement each other, and you can use them interchangeably back and forth. And so, for example, if we have a single jurisdiction only event or incident, what we really are probably looking at in that case is obviously using a single jurisdiction template. If, however, right, this incident starts to grow and we morph into a multi-jurisdiction, we can integrate sort of upwards. Or if we start out in a multi-jurisdiction environment with floods, fires, tornadoes, whatever it happens to be, all happening sort of semi-simultaneously, we can start on the multi-version and go from there. And so with that, we'll just walk briefly through them side by side and kind of how they integrate. So let's start with a single jurisdiction version that grows up into a multi-jurisdiction problem. Single jurisdiction, right? Those folks would have had to have filled out this data entry tab, as well as their particular county tab, right? And so as they kind of put that together, that will generate all of the products in a single version for them. As you can kind of see there, we'll put the printables together there. Now let's say our situation expands and we've branched out. We've got multiple things going on. The state EOC, county EOC, regional EOC, whatever the case may be, right, can open up our multi-jurisdiction event. And at this point, hopefully, right, start kind of capturing some of the data and syncing these things up. These tabs need to fairly well match. Granted, the local tabs may have different details, right? Operational periods and whatnot. And so we're going to go ahead and use this as the master one. The multi-version data entry will be the master. If these don't sync up, we need to kind of go in favor of this one because this is what we're going to be working off of for this video. And so if we were starting out on the other end, right, if we were starting out on a multi-jurisdictional thing and we wanted to help the locals kind of out, what we could do is fill out our data entry tab on the multi-version, open up a template of the single jurisdiction version, copy and paste our data over into this one, and then again, file, make a copy, come in here and call this whatever it happens to be. Let's just say Lincoln County. Can't spell this evening. Lincoln County. Copy the comments, right? Share, maybe not, depending on kind of what you're looking at. Make a copy, right? And then that sets them up for success. They can then build off of that and tweak the details necessary, but most of the stuff will sort of be status quo. And so when you have these data entry tabs kind of married up, right, in this case, right, well, like I said, we'll be working off the multi-jurisdiction one. What we then end up having is the multiple tabs here, right? So for Lincoln County, we put in a little bit of sample data over here, and let's say that Lincoln County, right, is doing their thing. They're doing situation reports. They're doing printables locally. They're taking care of all of that sort of stuff, and so they're working off of this version. They can do a couple of things, right? Just like we can if we're only working off the multi-version, we can have a couple ways to get the data updated, if you will. So the first, probably one of them, not in any particular order, would be to have this document, the multi-version, shared with whoever the Lincoln County person is. And again, reminder, you can go protect the sheet, set permissions, and we can then say we will put it on custom, add the Lincoln County person's email address, hit done, and now only they and you or whomever else you add can edit that. And so they've got that kind of locked up now. We're just going to go ahead and delete that permission there. Let's just put it back on reminder. Okay, so anyhow, yes, yeah, we'll just go back to that. Anyhow, so you can have the Lincoln County person maintain both and copy and paste over. You could have someone from your situation unit kind of copy and paste back and forth. Have the local person just do all their edits on the multi version, right? Lincoln County person, and then copy their stuff back to be able to create the localized printables. You can kind of see how that may work depending on your structure and who's playing what. In this case, we're going to look at it from a state EOC perspective. And we're going to take Lincoln County. Lincoln County shared their folder with us. Let's say that was named Lincoln County. They're doing their printables and everything locally. And so they share this back with us. We open it up, maybe a shared screen like you're seeing here. And we'll just go ahead and come through, copy these things, bring them over here. And what we're doing to get inside the box, is just double clicking, right? Because we don't necessarily want to bring the formatting with us. And we have red, yellow, yellow, and then the remaining of these are all green, right? And we're just zoomed in just a little bit so we can kind of not have an eye chart. If they would have checked any of these boxes, right? Improving, we can then check improving or whatever the case. And then we'll just grab some of these sections, come over here and paste them in. We'll grab this next section, right? Copy it, paste it in. And again, this is, as you can see, is why if you're in a multi-jurisdiction kind of an environment, you need to make sure that your questions match. If the locals are customizing questions too much on this EEI template, you can see how this becomes problematic because now our answers don't sync up and our data doesn't sync up. So again, try to set up stuff that what starts well ends well. And if you think you're going to have a potential for expansion, you may kind of cast down some vision of, hey, please don't change these things. Or again, if you're doing kind of the one-off where you're sending something out to the locals, that will be a reporting mechanism. Again, you can do protect sheet, lock it so nobody can edit the sample version. But you get the idea there. Let's come back to Lincoln County, and again, we'll just do the kind of copy paste. If you have these on, I've got them on a side-by-side screen, and so it looks a little different, but you get the idea. If we had it on two separate screens, you'd have much more real estate to be able to see the whole thing at once. You can obviously change the viewing, and that's just fine. Zooming in, zooming out. And so again, we only want to grab the gray, the data entry tabs. Any of these white stuff is auto-populating. And so we'll just grab this line here, put it there. We'll grab this line here, put it there. Right? If they had resource narratives, we can pull those in there as well. The photos, you can do a couple of things, right? We need to have these photos in here, essentially inserted in here, not just copy and pasted. And so if they have them, again, as an attachment to an email or something, or in a shared Google Drive, you can grab them from there. You could insert images that you think kind of tell the story, or we can go to print screen. And again, this is on a half piece of real estate, so it's pretty teeny, but again, you kind of get the idea. If we had it blown out on a big screen, we can do this more easily. We'll go to the screen capture, right, or snipper tool. We'll grab that, save it, right, go through the motions, image, Lincoln, and we'll just back out over here, insert, right, image in cells, browse, right, and then we'll just grab that Lincoln image, bring it in, and now you've got that in there, right? Obviously, this takes a minute to kind of go back and forth, and so that's where, again, figuring out kind of a process, and you can do so kind of spelled out ahead of time or real time in these data collection plans, and those in casting that vision of what stuff is due at what time. Leaving yourself plenty of time to, again, get stuff printed, get stuff copied over, get stuff pasted. So you can see that didn't take too awful long, right? We're a few minutes in, and we've got Lincoln County sort of synced in. We would do the same thing with the other counties that had shared stuff back with us across the board. Or, like we talked in one of the early versions of the multi-tool, it could be that we just have the locals update their stuff real time right in here by locking the tabs so that only they can edit their own tabs. That's certainly okay. Or you can have the interviewers, right, call and interview folks at a certain time. That works as well. But you get the idea. We need to get these sort of populated across, however many of them there are, and then that puts us into all the roll-up data and everything else, right? So you can see we were messing with Lincoln in there, and we've got our stuff kind of showing up the way it's supposed to. We'll take a little quick print, and you can see these things line up. Part of what's happening here, right, is when we go from 50 to 100 to 75, it gets off, but you can see when we go into the print mode, we actually line up pretty evenly. And so from there, right, once we've synced up the county level data, we go back to kind of that evening end of operational period video. We talked through how to close these things out, put them into PDFs or prints and email and whatever else the case may be. So with that, that kind of takes us into how do we integrate the two tools together. And you can imagine that would be, again, how we would move the contact information, right, from this toolkit over to either to or from the skill set tab, skill set toolkit, or the EOC toolkit, or any of the others. All the columns should match up. And so again, just being careful to copy, paste. You can again integrate the tools simultaneously and create some products very quickly. Going backwards, right, it would work just the same. Let's say that you at the state EOC or the county EOC, right, was having the POCs update their tab in particular. You could do the same thing sort of backwards, right? Just come to this one, copy from here, paste it over here, and now you've got all the local placemats and other printables and everything else created, right? Again, pagination lines up. It doesn't look like it there, but don't stress too much. You can come here and you can kind of, through the print preview, Control P, bring it up, make sure it's looking like you want, save it to PDF or print it or whatever the case may be. So that's how the two tools integrate. That's how we kind of work back and forth to make sure that we can print local stuff very quickly and easily, giving the local quote-unquote jurisdiction the ability to create some one jurisdiction products to help tell their story to their stakeholders, but also rapidly up-channel and create a multi-version that tells a more expanded story across the other jurisdictions that may be impacted. So with that, as always, we'll wrap up the video with a reminder that please do feel free to reach out to us. If you've got any questions, comments, feedback, we're always happy to take those and farm them into new tools or update the tools we've got out there. All these tools, as always, can be found at weprepare.org. Again, to kind of close this up, thank you for joining us. Hopefully you subscribe, like, share, comment on these so that we can continue to get these out in front of emergency managers and emergency operations centers in a timely fashion as we build out new tools and go from there. So with that said, as always, thanks for joining us. Be safe and happy trails. Take care. Bye.